Hi, I'm Ash Beatson and welcome to this session for QuickBooks tips and optimisations. Now it's very easy to mould QuickBooks to get it to work and adapt for different needs. Well, it's easy if you know how. What I want to do is show you how to use different tools and features in QuickBooks Online in ways that perhaps you hadn't thought of before, and I'm going to do that in 4 little scenarios. So we'll look at how we can automatically calculate sales commissions on sales when we raise an invoice or a sales receipt, how we can send ourselves reminders to automatically check for uncleared bank entries, how we can investigate errors using report tools and the audit log, and then finally some additional uses for attachments. Before I get into the main presentation, a little bit about me. I've worked in various accounting roles since I left school, law firms, manufacturing, accounting practice. I've been a member of the UK Trainer Writer Network since 2014. I've helped thousands of bookkeepers and accountants and small businesses learn how to use QuickBooks Online. I was listed within the top 100 Pro Advisors 2021 as compiled by the Insightful Accountant. I've written a book, Professional Tips and Workarounds for QuickBooks Online, and I've also co-founded an app, NetTracker, that integrates with QuickBooks. So we'll be looking at how we can use products and service items in different ways, combining those within a bundle, use of custom fields and reporting against them, advanced balance sheet reconciliations, advanced reporting, how we can use the audit log, and how we can use those attachments in different ways. So I'm going to start off by looking at how we can automatically calculate commissions on sales, and that is going to be using those service items, using bundles, using a custom field, using advanced reconciliations and some report customization too. So let me get myself into QuickBooks. Now, before I create the service items, I must have the necessary chart of account categories in place. And that is going to be an account for my accrual for sales. So I've got an accrual in there, and I've also got commission paid on sales. So cost and accrual for those commissions. Now, if I do head over into the sales area, products and services, I would have needed, and I will already have these in place. So I need to create my new service items, and I've got one in there, accrued commission 5%. Let me just go to edit so I can see exactly how that's been created. So I've got the name, accrued commission 5%. I've got a rate there of 0.05, and I'm directing that to the accrual account for sales. For my commission paid, I'll edit that one as well. Again, commission paid. I've got commission paid on sales 5%. This time I've got a negative value minus 0.5. So the 0.5 meaning the 5%. Negative entry is going to create a debit. Positive entries are going to create credit. We'll see how they will appear on our invoice later. I'm directing that to my account. Commission paid on sales. No VAT as the VAT rate. I don't want these entries to affect my VAT return at all. Now, when I create an invoice, let's say in this example, I am going to be creating an invoice for training. Usually I sell my training services, let's say £1,500 a session per day. When I'm selling those, I might need to pay someone commission if they've organised the sale for me. And using those other items, I'm going to combine them in a bundle. So let me look at how that bundle has been created. So if I choose to edit, I've given it the name Bundle Training Day 5% Commission. The description is employee training. So that is what is going to appear on the invoice. The invoice is made up of these items. The employee training, so 1 unit combined by the rate of 1,500, that's how much I will charge for one. Now I've got my commission, which has a rate of 0.05, quantity of 1,500. So it's going to multiply the rate to give me the commission that's payable. And I'm going to have 2 entries, one that's going to debit and one that is going to credit, so putting the cost in and the accrual. So let's take a look at how they actually appear on an invoice if it's been raised. So let me just close that down. I'll pop that into a customer. So against this particular customer, I have raised some invoices. I'll open up one that's there. So within this particular invoice, I can see that I'm using the bundle there. Employee training, that is what's actually going to appear on the invoice itself. I've got 3 of those, so I'm charging 3 1,500. It'll multiply to give me a £4,500 charge. Whatever appears in this amount box is now going to appear in the quantity, and it's multiplying by the rates that I have, which will calculate the commission that is payable. If I take a look at the more option towards the bottom here and look at the transaction journal, I can see all of the entries that are going to be made as a result of putting this invoice into QuickBooks. My sales are going to be credited, my VAT is going to be credited, but I'll also see the 2 entries for my commission. So I've got my sales in place, I've got my VAT in place, and I've got my debit and credit entries for the commission, the cost and the accrual. And all of that has happened automatically as a result of just putting the invoice on. So I'll just pop back to the invoice for a second. So in this example, I've used a custom field, and you can create these custom fields. If I go just to the top right hand corner, you can switch the custom fields on from within this area here. So extremely useful to use these custom fields. You can title them, use them as ever you need, and then you just type in your own text. But what is also useful is that you can report against these. So I've got in there my sales rep, I've got my invoice. Let's see, how can I now report against this particular item? The commission is what I'm interested in reporting against. So it could be every week, every month I need to produce some reports. So I'm just going to go into my reports area. And I'll first of all just look at my standard reports. So if I were to run a report for sales by product, service, detail, so I can check the reports that I'm currently running. So let's say I want to run these for all dates. You'll see here we've got lots of different sales types. What I'm interested in is just the report for the commission that is accrued. So let me just choose an example here. I'll just pop in, let's do from the 1st of January to the 31st of January. Now I'm going to customize this report a little bit further. I'm actually only interested in the accrued commission, so it's the products and service, in fact, that I need to filter against. So accrued commission, and I can change some of these columns too. So if I just pop to change the columns, so I can remove any that I'm not really interested in. So I can take out the sales price that I don't need. So my quantity is going to be reflecting the sales price, the sales that are going to calculate the commission that is due. But if I scroll down a little bit, we're going to actually add in the sales rep. So let me pop the sales rep in, and let me run that report now. Let's just take a look at what we can see. So there is my commission accrued. Against the invoices, I can see the customer. I could take the memo description out as well, if it's all going to be 5%. So that is the original value of the sale. It's multiplying by the 0.05, which gives me the amount of the commission that's due. I could change the name of that report, and then I can save it. It will land in my custom reports area. And if I just pop to my reports, here's one I've saved before. So there is my sales commissions. I could have it run on a particular month. So might like to just run the custom report to look from last month. So if I'm running a report in March, it would look back in February. And again, if I just choose to edit those, you can see you can turn on your schedule, choose how frequently that report should be generated, every week, every month, on a particular day, and put the necessary email addresses and a little bit of a memo against there. Now, as well as actually reporting against the commission that is calculated, you might also want to report against the commission, has it actually been paid? And the way that we can do that is by checking, has it been sort of reconciled? Now, first of all, what I want to do is just pop into the balance sheet and take a look at the account. Scroll down a little bit. Sales commission accrued. Now, if I just change that to all dates, we'll see all of the ins and outs that are affecting that particular account. So when we're accruing the commission, when we finally pay it through expenses, through bills, through journals, on payroll. So it should always really come back down to zero. Now, after a particular length of time, it might not be that easy to check what is actually unpaid against that particular account. And this is why we should reconcile it. Now, what I'm able to do here is if I choose to go to my gear icon and go to reconcile, and if I choose to reconcile my account for accrued commission, so we're reconciling in exactly the same way that we reconcile a bank, but we're actually reconciling always to a balance of zero. So we just want to offset the debits and credits, which will balance back to zero. So you can see I've got my provisions in place when they're paid, my provisions when we pay them, and so on. So I'm just going to be left here with sales that have not yet been, or sales commissions that have not yet been paid. So I'm just going to just click finish now, and then done. So if I were to come back to my balance sheet, again, I'll change that to all dates, run the report. So no change there at the moment. If I choose to customize, let me just tidy up some of these columns. So I'll just take out the memo of the account and the memo description out for now. And I might want to replace those with debits and credits instead of just a single balance. And excuse me, I'm also going to add here the cleared status. So let me just run that report. So you can see there is an R against those items that have been reconciled. If I choose to customize this a little bit further, I can add a filter against that cleared status. So I'm only looking at uncleared items only. I'll run the report again. And now it's just displaying commission that has not been paid. Again, I can change the title of this report, I can save it, and I can get QuickBooks to automatically send it to me. So I'll just look at one that I've got saved into my reports, my custom reports. I've got an entry there, report against unpaid commission. I can schedule that report to be sent to me every month. So not only am I checking my sales calculations, but I'm also checking, have I actually paid the people that are due those? So a little bit of a recap on that section. We've looked at advanced use of products and service items for our sales commissions, and then we've put them all together within a bundle. So when we create our invoice, it will automatically do all of the debit and credit entries for us. We can use the custom field for our sales rep, so we can report against that to see what commission is due to them, and then we can reconcile that balance sheet account for the accrual, and we can create those reports and automatically have them sent out to us. Now in our next section, and just before I come into this, don't forget, if you've got any questions, please, you can raise those questions as we go, and there is a handout available which details all of the processes that I'm actually using. In this section, we're going to look at how we can send ourselves automatic reminders to check for our uncleared and our unreconciled bank entries. So we need to fully understand the status of an entry, and we also are going to use some advanced report customization. So we've looked at this really in the previous section. We've got a cleared, uncleared and reconciled item. So when we manually enter an entry into QuickBooks against the balance sheet or bank account, it will sit as an uncleared item. If we are using bank feeds or uploading bank statements and we match or add through there, then they become cleared, and then later on when we fully reconcile an account, the status of an entry becomes reconciled. So if I were looking at my bank accounts, so if I could look at my balance sheet account here, and I'm going to take a look at the balance sheets. Let me just pick out this business bank account. So using the same tools that I used to check for the unpaid sales commissions. So I'm running this at the moment for all dates. And I'm going to just customize this report. So I can change some of the columns. So I'll remove some that I don't actually need. So I could take the balance out, I could take the split out, the account out, maybe the adjustment, and that will do. What I want to add in is I want to add in a cleared option, and I can also add in the filter to check for my uncleared items only. So now I only see there the 4 transactions which have not yet been reconciled, not yet either cleared through my bank or actually gone through the full reconciliation status. Now the benefit of using this report filtering is that I can actually add in all of my banks if I wish. So let me just choose to customize this a bit further, and I'll add in a few extra banks. So if I scroll down, we can select, let's say, a contra account, which should always come down to 0. So I want to make sure that comes through. Petty cash, savings. I'll just use those 5 for now. So if I run that report, it's displaying now entries which have not cleared the bank account or have not been reconciled. So I can see in fact that petty cash is showing entries. It does have a balance of 0. So quite often what you might find with petty cash, even if you don't have a petty cash account, that it will might have a negative balance because you've just created an entry, marked it as paid by cash, and later you might actually adjust that to a director's loan, which is what I've done here. So the balance on petty cash is 0, but what I might choose to do is regularly reconcile that account. So just as I did before, I can choose to reconcile and use my petty cash. I'll reconcile that to, say, the end of January. So those are my cash expenses that have been paid, and there's my adjustment where I've adjusted it to the director's loan account through a journal. So again, reconciling it back down to zero. So if I finish that and look at my reports, I've actually saved my sort of uncleared bank entries report. So I've got one saved in my custom reports area. So if I look at my uncleared bank entries, my petty cash account is no longer visible because I've, fully reconciled it. There are no uncleared items. But what I should be doing is investigating these. Why hasn't that entry from 2019 cleared? And although you may have clients that are regularly reconciling their bank account, they may forget to check for these items that have not cleared. So especially if they might have used the mobile app and have taken a picture, recorded the expense and put it against cash by mistake or put it against the wrong bank, we can remind ourselves to check these entries. So our entries against balance sheet and bank accounts have got three statuses. Uncleared, when we manually enter them to begin with. We've got a cleared entry. So if you have uploaded your bank statements or you're using your bank feed and you match or you add an entry through the bank feed area, it will become flagged as a cleared item. And then later on, when you work through the full reconciliation process, those items are then flagged as reconciled. In our next little section, we'll look at the audit log and investigating errors. And again, if you've got any questions, then please fire those through to us and we'll answer them at the end. And all of this information that I'm covering is within your handout that you can download. Now, you know what might happen. You're about to prepare the accounts at the end of a year. And when you actually look at your previous year, things have changed. The retained earnings has changed. Your debtors or your creditors have changed. So an example I've got on the screen there is that the accounts were last prepared to December 2020. That would have been done in July 21, for example. And now I'm about to sort of look at the accounts, do a VAT return, prepare some management reports. For some reason, the balances from 2020 have changed. And that shouldn't have actually happened. So how can I try to investigate why those balances have changed? Different things that we can do. So we can run different reports. So it's understanding the difference between the report date and the system date. We can use tools within the audit log as well. And something to just bear in mind is that if we delete a transaction, it will be removed from any of our reports, but we will still find it in the audit log. So let's just take a look at some of the things that we can have a look at. If I'm running my reports, so just come into my reports. So let's say, for example, the first thing we've noticed is our retained earnings has changed. So that's going to be impacted or affected by profit and loss. But one of the things I might want to do is just check a report that is called Transactions Detail by Account. So I'll go into Transactions Detail by Account. And I'm going to change this for all dates. So there's going to be loads of stuff in here to begin with. Now what I can also do, if I choose to customize, is I can create a filter and the distribution account I'm going to select, because I'm only interested to begin with what's changed profit and loss wise. And that is a result of income and expense accounts. All income and expense accounts. I'll select that to begin with. Now what I can also do is change some of my columns. So do I need to see every single one of these? So I don't need the balance, for example. I could take out the adjustment column. I'll scroll down a little bit. Now what I am interested in is the created the last modified. So this is the date that an entry was last modified. So we could have an original entry date as well as when it was last changed. And that's what we're really interested in. When was something changed? and perhaps who actually did that. So if I just run that report as it is at the moment, let's just take a quick look at what we can see. I've got last modified, so when things have last been changed and who actually did that. So let's just look at my other customize options. I can change the dates if I need to. Now perhaps I'm only actually interested in what happened up to December 20. So let's, for example, put in here from 101/18 to 31st of December 20. So these are the financial dates. Now if I scroll down and look in my filtering options, I've got the last modified date as a filtering option. So I'm going to select that and choose what has changed since August 2020, because we checked them in July 2020, everything was fine. So something has changed since August 2021. So from 1st of August 21, because the accounts were prepared 31st of July, and let's run this up to the 31st of January. So what's happened between those two dates? If I run that report, so that has narrowed that list down considerably. So we can see original entry dates from 2020 and before, when they were changed, which is 2022, and who actually changed them. If I click on any of these entries, so let me just click on this 35,000 for example, I can take a look at the more option and I can look at the audit history. So this is going to show me details of when a transaction was originally created, which was 8th of June 2020, and when it was changed. So it was changed 25th of January 2022, and in that example it's highlighting the different things that have actually been changed, so I can compare the two, and that will help me work out what the difference is. Now if I just come back to that report, now in fact I've got one saved, so I'm just going to pop back to my reports, and look at this transaction detail by account, so one that I've got within here that's saved. If I'm looking at transactions that have been voided, so for example these two at the top, they are still on this report. So although they've been voided to a balance of 0, I can still find them on my reports and they will be within my customer supplier information. If I delete a transaction, I'm not going to be able to find it here. So if I was to just take a look now in my audit log, so go to my gear icon, tools and my audit log, this is where our audit log really is our friend, because we want to try to look for something that I can't find on those other reports. So we can filter the audit log by particular users. When has something changed? So it could be things that have changed since August 21. So the accounts have been changed since August 21. We can look at specific events, and in this instance I'm looking just for deleted voided transactions, so I can look for those. So my voided transaction will have appeared on my other report, so we've been able to look at that. The deleted entry won't be visible on the reports, but I can view the history, so I'll be able to look at all of the previous information by drilling down into those. So that is our audit log and investigating errors. So there we've got a good understanding of our report dates. So when we create entries, they're going to affect our reporting dates on the balance sheet and our profit and loss. Then we've got the system dates, when things were last modified and when they were created. They're on our audit log and also visible on the report. So we can filter against those. Remember your deleted transactions you won't find on any of your reports, but they will be visible for you on your audit log. Now my final little tip here is how we can use attachments in ways you might not have thought of before. So not just for your bills and expenses, but you can take photographs and you can upload them. We can use them for things like our terms and conditions, maybe proof of identification for money laundering purposes, and we'll be able to find them within QuickBooks, within our lists, and we can also attach them to our customers. So first of all, let me just take you into a little video. Okay, I'm starting off with my mobile app. And with the mobile app open, I'm going to the menu option at the bottom right, and then I'm going to select to use all of the options there, so I can look at all the options available. Scrolling down a little bit, there is the option to use the attachments, where I can add an attachment or a note. So the create button, I shall click onto that. I can assign it to a customer, not mandatory, but I can do. I'm going to use Carol Walker in this instance, and we can attach, could be a photograph. So I could take a picture with the camera. If I've got one in place, I'll search for one within my files. So I'm going to add a little picture in there for a building that's been put up, and I can add a note in there as well. And then once that's in place, I'm simply going to save that. Now if I just head back into my browser, any transaction or any attachment that we've taken with our mobile app, we'll find those within our lists of attachments. And what I can see there is the image that I've just taken with the mobile application. And we can do different things with these attachments. We can choose from the action menu to download it, to take a look at it. We can edit it, we can add it to invoices and expenses from this particular area. And if we've got other things that we want to download, we can click in the attachments option there. If I have attached it to a customer, I can go into my customer area. So I know I've attached it to Carol. So let me just search for Carol. Select Carol Walker. If I go into the customer details, there are the attachments listed. So you can just create a note without actually putting an image with it. So if I just wanted to add any notes, I can expect phase 2 there to be done by 15th of February. So you can add your notes, your images, they will appear in this list. So again, useful for your things like your money laundering purposes, where you need that client identification to be kept. They'll all be held there for you. Now, if you have created those attachments, you might want to use them in different ways. If I do choose to, let's say, create an invoice, we do have the attachments option towards the bottom left. So if I choose to show existing, so any attachment I've already put into QuickBooks. Now, if it's already been linked, so that includes linking to a customer, it won't immediately be visible. But if I've linked it to a customer and I want to use it, I can choose to look at all of the attachments. And there is my picture, which I could choose to add and send this along with my invoice when it's created. So there's a very short one there to end with, using attachments in different ways. So not just for your bills and your expenses, but you can upload different documents within there, attach them to your customers. You've got creating your different notes as well if you need to. So it could be CIS certificates, could be client identification, lots of different possible uses. So there we have it. We've looked through different uses, tips and optimizations in QuickBooks Online, using your service items in different ways, combining those all within a bundle, using your custom fields, balance sheet reconciliations for your control accounts, advanced report techniques as well, understanding the audit log a little bit better, reporting against those different dates that we've got available, as well as the attachments. All this information available in the handout available for you to download. Key takeaways for this section. Bundles can be used to automate lots of different entries. Custom fields you can use and they will appear within your sales reports. Reconciliations not just for your bank account, but for lots of different balance sheet accounts as well. And remember, the cleared status will help you, automate those different reports if you need. The audit log is your friend. So when you're trying to look for why things have changed, remember your deleted entries won't appear on your reports. You will find them within your audit log. And attachments have multiple uses. There's so many other tips I'd love to give you on how to sort of get the most out of using QuickBooks Online, and I've written a book about that. You've got a discount code available about to the 9th to the 24th of March. Details again are in your handout. Just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining these sessions, and if you do have any burning questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for attending QuickBooks Connect.